Hey guys, this is Jason. It's been a while, but I'm back in the shop for another project. Now, if you watched my Bar Top Arcade videos, you may remember it was a gift that I was giving away. I missed the thing and I would like to have one for myself, but I don't really have the room for something of that size. So today, I'm going to be building a smaller, more portable, let's say desktop version of an arcade. Check it out. For this build, I'm going with 1/2" MDF, and I'm going to start with the control panel. I've got my template printed out, and I'm just going to attach it with some adhesive spray. Now, before drilling any holes, it's a good idea to check the fit on a scrap piece of wood. To get the rounded corners, I'll make it easy and just trace a lid from a spray can. And I'll sneak up to the line with my belt sander. Okay, so the next step is optional. I have some leftover T-molding from my cabinet build, and I want to use it around the control panel. I'm going to use my slot cutting bit on my router to cut a groove for it to sit in. Lastly, I'm going to pre-drill holes for the joysticks to make it easy to install later. I'm going to be attaching them underneath with just a couple of screws. Now on to cutting all 4 sides. I'll also cut a few extra blocks, which I'll need to attach the bottom later. To make for a stronger glue up, I'm going to use miter joints to connect the sides. I'm going to slowly sneak up to the cut on the table saw. Once I have one side, I can set my stop blocks and quickly cut the rest. Next, I'll apply and cut out the side templates. For this build, I want to add an HDMI and USB port in the front for video and power. And I want to have a USB port in the back for any accessories like a keyboard or extra controller. In my experience, the Raspberry Pi isn't prone to overheating with default settings. But for safety, I'm going to drill out holes for ventilation. I may add a fan later if I ever decide to overclock it. Now I'll glue everything up and just clamp it together with some tape.
check for square by measuring corner to corner and make any adjustments as needed. With the sides together, I could figure out the dimensions for the bottom and cut to fit. To attach the bottom, I'm going to be using these threaded inserts to make it easy to open when needed. I'll drill holes for the inserts in 2 of the extra blocks I cut earlier. With the bottom panel in place, I can glue in the blocks to the sides. Notice the positioning here. You'll want to make sure they do not interfere with the joysticks or the buttons. The 2 extra blocks here were just taking up space and later removed, so just completely ignore them. Once the glue dries, you can mark the bottom panel with something like a nail and just a little tap through the threaded insert holes. Then it's back to the drill press to drill the holes for the bolts, including an inset on the bottom. And finally, I'll just drill an extra hole in the bottom to make it easier to open. For the final assembly, I'm just going to position and glue the control panel to the sides. Then pull out every clamp I could find. Alternatively, you could just flip it over and place some weights on the top. Now it's time for a quick sand and then several coats of paint.
Okay, so we're back inside and we're ready to put everything together. First, I'm going to start with the graphics. I've already sanded down the top, got rid of any imperfections, made it a nice, smooth finish. And for the graphics, I picked up some vinyl sticker paper off of Amazon. I'm going to give this a try because right now, COVID-19 is a thing. So a lot of shops are closed, and I also wanted to try maybe a cheaper option for you guys that wanted to do something on a budget. So I printed up my graphics on Photoshop. But one limitation is, obviously, you're going to need more than one page to fit across the control panel. So I had to be a little strategic with my graphics. I went about it by putting a triangle in the center so that I could cut along the line and hide the seam between the pages. We're going to see how it works out and yeah, give it a try.
Now, of course, doing any graphics or T-molding is completely optional. I just think it adds a nice, clean, professional look to the whole thing. I'm going to start with the center graphic and work my way out. When I have it lined up correctly, I'll weigh it down, lift and apply one corner first, and then lay down the rest. Then it's just repeat for the other 2 pieces. To get the graphics to wrap around the edges flush, you'll need to cut a couple strips into the corners like so. Now I can install the T-molding with just a light tap from a mallet. To get around the corners here, you'll have to cut out little triangles out of the T-molding plastic. Okay, now let's just do a quick rundown of all the cables. Of course, you'll need a Raspberry Pi and arcade controllers. The controller kit likely comes with a USB-A cable, but to save room, I got these shorter ones that are about 6 inches. I also have my HDMI and USB cables for the front panel. You'll need a micro USB adapter though to convert it for the power. I have a small USB pass-through for the back panel. And lastly, a short USB cable to connect it to the Raspberry Pi. With the graphics applied, I will cut out the holes and install the buttons. Now your controller kit may be different than mine, so you'll have to refer to the instructions on how everything gets wired up. Now this is the point where I realized I made a mistake. The USB adapter I bought isn't long enough to fit through the hole I drilled and still be able to thread on the locking bolt. So I had to drill a larger inset hole to make it work. Now finally, we can install the joysticks and wire everything up to the Raspberry Pi. Now, a quick note on the software. I'm going to be using something called RetroPie. It's freely available online, and there's tons of installation and configuration guides out there for you, so I'm not going to be going over it here. But I will include some helpful links in the description down below.
So there you have it, guys. Quick and easy build for anybody that's into retro games or arcade games like myself, but don't have the space for a full-size cabinet or even a bar top arcade like my last video. Easily done in a weekend, except for maybe the software on the Raspberry Pi. There's a lot of configuration options and customization options and stuff. For that, I could only tell you to check out a channel called ETA Prime, which I'll leave in the description down below. This guy's put out tons of videos on how to do all of that stuff, so many thanks to him for putting that out there for us. And yeah, that's it. Please like, subscribe, comment. All the support I got on my last video, I really appreciate it. It was awesome, and hopefully I can put out some more videos shortly. And stay safe out there, guys. See you next time. We're playing again. We're playing again. I'm not losing like that. Some bullshit.